Hello, folks.
Hey, Michael, how's it going?
Going well. How about you?
Good, good. Having a gorgeous Indian summer here, late summer. It's just been gorgeous every day and trying to take advantage of it.
Yep, I hear you. I'm getting close to saying I'm sick of like the over 90-degree weather.
Right?
I'm not, so we're just gonna.
Hi.
Hey, Luigi. I like your filter.
Thank you.
Very
Yes,
kawaii.
very nice.
Excellent. What is that, shall I ask?
If you find yourself in a Zoom chat, in a Zoom meeting, and click on the three dots in your screen, no, you click at the. Oh, wait.
No, what is it supposed to be? I know how to enable it. What is that supposed to be?
I don't know. I think I don't know. I usually say Chikorita. It is a Pokemon, but you need to be a millennial probably to know what it is.
Oh, it's a Pokemon.
Yes, I think so. I mean, I consider that so.
Okay, I know I have kids enough to know that's a plant type Pokemon.
Nice.
Excellent. All right. Somewhere we probably have an actual meeting with an actual agenda, and I got to find it.
We do. It is linked from the invite that you probably clicked on to get here.
All righty. Well, I do all this stuff from my calendar, but yes, my calendar tells me what to do.
I hear you.
You probably feel this feeling.
I do. If there's anything that anyone would like to talk about, please add it to the agenda and we will talk about that. We can even bump that up to the top. And please add yourself.
Yeah, yeah, are we ready to start and like welcome new members if we have any?
Let's do it. Is there anybody that would like to introduce themselves? But I think we've seen everybody before, but anybody would like to say hello, you're welcome. Cool.
Yeah, certainly. I don't know if I introduced myself before. I'm sorry, I'm not on camera, but I'm Roderick. I work with Microsoft and just happy to be a part of the team. And I don't know if he's on the call right now. I have a mentee of mine who, yeah, he's on. Who'll be joining with me sometimes, and that's Craig. He's here. He'll be working with me on whatever projects I work on.
Awesome.
Welcome.
Yeah, hi, I'm Craig.
Good. Okay, so for welcome everybody to the August 31st Identifying Security Threats Working Group meeting. I'll be your host. First order of business, meeting time update. I know, so I sent out a doodle poll to try to find a more, let's just say EMEA, APAC friendly time. As it turns out, there would have only been like 3 of us on the call. So I'm not convinced that canceling this meeting time and doing that, it would be a kind of a net, you know, we'd add 3 and lose 9. So what I'm thinking is keep both of these times, but in one of the off weeks, also have an EMEA time. So it's a net, so it's 3 meetings every 4 weeks. That's the best I can think of as to how to do it. We could try that for a little bit, and if that doesn't work, we'll try something else. But I didn't want to, I didn't want to take away from the momentum that we have in this meeting by, you know, canceling this, half of the meetings. That sound reasonable to anybody? Does that sound unreasonable to anybody? Perfect. So you'll see a meeting invite. The next one will be for the 7th. It'll be 10 p.m. Pacific time. don't feel obligated to come. If you're of course welcome. And we'll kind of take it from there.
Okay, but you know, how important is it to be at that meeting? Let me just put the brass tacks. Because I will show up at 2 a.m. meetings, but I don't like to. So
I would say, particularly for that meeting, we will be diligent in capturing the salient discussion in the minutes. So read those, and then it'll of course be recorded. So probably not for the first time, but maybe for after that, we'll try to have a specific agenda like that. Will, you know, because that's, I know I think Martin will be able to talk about office hours more from that meeting. So do I want everybody, you know, well, I guess if it's 10 p.m. Pacific, oh no, it's 1 o'clock in the morning for you.
it's
No,
1 a.m. Yeah, I'm
no.
sorry, it's not
Yeah,
just 1
no.
a.m. Yeah, but it's
No,
a
so
1 a.m. meeting for me.
Don't do
I'm
that.
not saying I won't do it.
No, I will let you know if I think that you being there is important enough to literally
Okay,
lose.
thank you. Thank you. I will show up at things that are super important, but I'm not currently planning to be at that one for reasons that I hope make sense to everyone.
Yeah, no, we're all good. Cool. OpenSSF Day is coming out. You should have started getting the registration invites out. I saw a couple of those going out. So if you haven't seen that, openssf.org. I don't know that we have an agenda yet for that, or at least a public agenda for that yet. Do we?
I don't believe so, but I think it's going to be somewhat similar to OpenSSF Day in Austin.
Yeah.
I believe that's on the 13th.
Yes, it is the 13th in Dublin and virtual, so you don't need to travel. Here's the registration link. And the meeting, I'm sure everything will be recorded and thrown on YouTube in a couple of weeks after. I am planning to be there in person to talk with Windsor again about Alpha Omega. So we'll like kind of re-announce. So we just signed with Eclipse. So there were a couple of tweets about that earlier from Mike over there, and then there was also some updates from NPM. They gave an August update, so we'll do that. We've got one other one that we're going to, at least one other one that we're going to formally announce. So that'll be good, and then we'll go through all the comm stuff for that. So making should have a packed list of stuff to talk about. So that'll be good.
Yeah, if I can interrupt real quick, Mike.
Please.
Yeah, so you know, unsurprisingly, one of the challenges has been, hey, you got to send it through all the lawyers. So I actually think that we're going to get better at this over time as we keep running through gauntlets of lawyers.
Yeah, well, so I think we've landed on kind of a standard contract language,
yeah,
which is
I think so too.
Like everybody is equally unhappy about. So that'll be the one we go with. I'm just kidding. It's a totally fine contract. So.
Right. No, but like this last one, there was a wording change because of European tax law.
Yeah, right.
And nobody objected. In fact, the other word they suggested was probably the better word, but it's the kind of thing that you probably only notice once you try to do it.
Right. And like non-lawyers like have no idea what the difference between a grant and a sponsorship is.
Right.
So
right, exactly. But now that we've done it, I think it'll be better next time.
Yep. Terrific.
Yes, and I can attest to that. It does get easier once you've done the song and dance a couple times and get a couple good contracts kind of worded out and hammered out. Lots of times they can be, you know, just altered for other use. So it definitely does get easier.
Cool. Okay, so I can give more of an update on Alpha Omega later on, but I want to make sure we get to all the other projects. So if there's nothing else about OpenSSF Day, maybe we'll just move to project updates. And Amir, any I see you throwing some stuff, but
Yes. Thank you to David for uploading the notes that I was going to put in. So thank you for beating me to it. But yeah, it seems like we need to do a little bit of work on the repo. I don't know how, but it seems like the automated check just consistently fails. I've tried a number of things, and I met with Dylan last week to try and debug that a little. And so I think maybe if I don't know if it makes sense to take up work group meeting time for it, but if we could spend a little bit of time just kind of debugging that and seeing what is causing the automated failure, then we can fix that, do the pull request that David had mentioned, and I have a new security audit that we just published about yesterday, Monday. So I'd love to upload that too, but I thought I'd wait until we get the repo kind of figured out.
Perfect. Yep. I'm just taking a look right now. I think.
And
it might have been something I did, so I'm terribly sorry.
Oh, good.
I broke it.
Yeah,
but,
it's much more about we got this problem. It's stuck. I think once we resolve this, I mean, Common Criteria has problems, but they do have real reviews, and I think it's another data source. But we got to fix this nit so that things get resolved.
Yep.
Yeah. And if I could suggest maybe, I mean, I definitely see the value in having some kind of automated check, because we do want to make sure no one's uploading 0 days or, information or data that could, cause reputational risk or what have you. But at the same time, it has to be very seamless. And, not a lot of people will spend an hour trying to figure out what they did wrong to upload something.
Well, so if the, I would say the quick start, the HTML page that generates the YAML and stuff, if that generated incorrect, or if that generated YAML that didn't validate, like that's clearly a bug in one or the other. This should be easy enough to debug. I promise you this will be fixed today.
Sure, and if I can help in any way,
Yeah.
please let me know. And if you want me to jump in on a call or something, I'm happy to kind of shadow to see what happened too. So,
Okay.
I can be of more help. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, overall,
Yeah.
we are adding more every day. As I mentioned, OSTIF, we just published a new audit on Monday. Found and fixed some more critical bugs there, and continuing, just keeping the train rolling with the audits. And so hopefully we'll have that uploaded to the repo soon.
Awesome.
Yeah, so specifically in this case, the validator basically suddenly crashes with an exception traceback, which is probably not ideal.
Yeah, I mean it's complaining about the reviewers, so I'm seeing like it's gobbledygook. We'll fix it.
The string str object has no attribute items, and then tracing back to it is like what?
Yep. Well, at least we know where the problem is.
Right. Yeah, but I think the problem is in the validator, not in the input. So
No, you're probably right.
Yeah, and thank you to Dylan, who took some time with me after the meeting last time to debug, to do some debugging. So big thank you to him.
Cool. Does it make sense to do, so I know we did that initial round of automated security reviews. Does it make sense to do another round of that? Like, do you think that provided any value? And I think maybe the answer is anybody, like, who are the consumers of security reviews? And is there an automated, like, I mean,
I have some thoughts, but I'd love to hear if the group has any feedback first.
You're talking about the new security audit results?
No,
No. This would be the automated reviews that
Oh,
part of, I believe that was through Omega
yeah,
that created that tool that did kind of like an automated check and produced a kind of like a readout of that result. So I think it's good. My only caveat there or thing to think about would be just being really clear that it was kind of like an automated, because I don't think calling it a security review does it justice. I mean, not that there are very formal definitions out there, but we think of security reviews or audits as, these kind of intensive code review type things. And not that automated tooling isn't used, but I would just maybe put like a little note in there that, this was generated using this, and maybe laying the parameters of that, so that just to ensure, I guess, like a quality bar, I guess, sort of like what a security review is and stuff.
How about this? Would a README within the Omega directory, because everything is channeled into that one directory, so that it's not spread out all over. And in there, describing at a high, in a readable way, kind of what to expect in there. Would that be an improvement?
I would say so, yeah. Because I think it's, and I'd love to hear from the group, but I mean, it is important to, I think, have this information and disseminate it. So I think, yeah, including that extra bit of information would be really helpful, like of what exactly it is that they're seeing and what it means and so forth.
Yeah. Cool. Anything else on that, or the comments from anybody? Cool. Luigi, you are up. Security Insights. How are things going?
The PR is merged yesterday, so now there is a sort of a command line wizard to fill out the security insight YAML schema. The command line prioritize the mandatory question and then the optional one. And I am evaluating to rewrite it in TypeScript, probably because the NPM ecosystem support better YAML than Python or Java. I fixed some minor typo in the schema, and I think the schema is ready now, for at least for a first version. There are support to the SBOM files that I see that now are quite important for the open source community, or at least for a part of the open source community, the enterprise one probably. And that is, so the next step are try to write a better tool in TypeScript, especially because maybe having something that can be added to a front end could be a good idea, and try to convince people to adopt this specification. Yes, because well, it contains a lot of information that can be crawled by scanner.
Nice. There is a link. I found a link to Security Insights from the awesome software supply chain security. I'll post a link to where that is.
Where?
Here.
I have seen that someone added, probably I missed some Slack message in the last week, sorry, but someone has added a GitHub action to our repo to sign off the commit, and it is great.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes, yes.
Cool.
I think that it is having a GitHub action that explains also how to do, it is definitely better.
Yeah.
If you are alone and you need to sign off a commit that you have already pushed and you're not, it's crazy. So the GitHub action give you all the steps to do it.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay. I did have, there was a note I saw on adding, what was this about? This was adding to scorecard the ability to recognize OneFuzz, which is Microsoft's fuzzer infrastructure, through a like .1 fuzz file in the repo, and I was like, hey, you should really put this in security insights. And so I guess two questions is I'll refer them. We should continue the conversation with Scorecard and maybe go see if they would accept a PR to add support for reading security insight specs into Scorecard and kind of overlay the information.
It is a good question. It's depend by the Scorecard team. Probably I need to improve my communication with them now. Definitely, because I think that having the support by the Scorecard team is definitely something that can help.
Yeah.
so
That'll immediately you like, you know, 100,000 users potentially.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Probably I will try to jump in their channel for a while and try to convince them to add the support. I think it can be helpful, especially because there are a lot of information that can be useful, but not so related to just the code.
Yeah.
For example, link. And my hope is that a similar file can be a sort of a source of truth for, especially for link and domain that in PyPy or Maven or similar can expire and no one update them. But if you have a file in the main repo, probably you update them and then other website and source can just upload the information or copy the information directly from your GitHub repo or just repo.
Cool. Scorecard does have a bi-weekly meeting. The next one is next Thursday. So if you want to.
Yes, I hope I can jump in the meeting. And
Awesome.
sometimes I have a problem with the time zone, but
Oh yeah, I'm understood. Hey, if you need any help, let me know. I can jump into it. Okay, metrics dashboard. See Vinod and Jay on the line. Also, wait, I have more information.
Yes, sorry. I think we don't have Christine here, but I think Jay is there. Yeah, so we didn't have any meetings after that last meetings yet, Michael. So, but as you mentioned, I think you have more update than us. So yeah.
Yes, and I'm just trying to find who I was talking to because I'm awful with names. So I apologize in advance. We had
But you're talking with somebody within the Linux Foundation, right?
This no, so this is
For metrics dashboard.
So for metrics dashboard, what we were talking about was essentially what do we want to do, and we're still kind of spinning on the does this become part of LFX in some way? Is that a long-term thing? Is that something we should make progress on now? Do we just kind of keep the lights on? Do we change it in terms of making it more of a dynamic query rather than a database, in which case it could be a lot simpler and just work?
Mm-hmm.
And then we talked about whether or not an integration or alignment or merging or whatever with deps.dev would make sense. The deps.dev angle is kind of closed for now. We can revisit in the future, but that's not something that is going to happen in the next weeks or months. So I think LFX security would be a long-term thing. I'm probably in favor of simplifying the site, making it more dynamic queries, and just show the data. But I'm fine with anything. And there was someone that was going to start working on a prototype of that.
I think it was Alvaro.
Yes. Alvaro.
Michael, have you talked with Nirav Patel?
For LFX?
Yeah.
I have not recently, not in quite a while.
Okay. I mean, maybe this is something that should be re-raised again. Because obviously there was the start of the discussion, and then Shubra died, and all sorts of things basically got tossed up in the air.
Yep. And that's it. I didn't see this as a super critical thing to, so I wanted everything to kind of
Yeah, I understand.
figure its
Yeah,
way
yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah.
But if you think
I-
the time is right to re-engage, let's do that.
Yeah, I think I would suggest let's at least briefly re-engage. I think there are many options, but at least raising the hey, let's start talking. I think would be the right thing. I think it would be really helpful in the end to be able to tell people, hey, you want to learn more about a project, push this button. And deps.dev sort of gives that for a limited cases, but not really.
Yep.
Elevex gives it in some cases. Metrics dashboard does it in some cases, but it would sure be nice to just, here, everybody, here's the story.
Right, right. So Vinod, do you want to reach out to Nirav? Feel free to include me, but since
Yeah.
you guys like the project.
Yeah, I will check with the Jels and Christine, and yeah, we will reach out to Nirav.
Okay, do you have Nirav's contact info?
Not really. So if we can share that. that
Oh,
would be
right. Okay, so my superpower is sending emails. It's a really lame superpower, but
Nirav is also on Slack, so you can get his email from there.
yeah. Okay, so let's see here. Now I got to figure out Vinod's email address. So Vinod.
No, I can check his, so his Slack, right? Like it's fine.
Oh, okay. All right. So you don't need me to do the intro?
No, so sorry. Yeah, I mean, it's up to you. Like if you want, you can do intro, David. Yeah.
Okay. Why don't you dump into the email, into the chat, an email address for you, and I'll do the quick intro and say, hey, there should be some talking someday.
I will put everybody, say Jay and Christine and everyone's email. So
Yeah.
we can.
I mean, Slack works too. I mean, it just, but I what I'm afraid of is Slack. Sometimes I'm going to respond right away to the stuff that's urgent. And if they view this as it's important, but I can do it next week, it may just kind of drop off.
Yep.
That's what I fear. So
Yeah,
I'm waiting for the chat email there.
Yeah, I will message you in a few minutes. I'm just checking Christine's and Jay's email, then I will drop it. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Cool. So I think next up, office hours. Marta's not here, but she did post in the office hours Slack channel and a couple others. So this is moving ahead. There is a doc. I will link to the latest there. So it looks like aiming up as September dates right after the OSS EU conference. So whatever the 20th, that kind of week. There is a link though. So if you have not, to do everyone. Okay, there's a form there in the meeting minutes. You need security experts to be part of security office hours, otherwise it's just going to be an empty room. So if you feel like this is something that you can do, please fill out the form if you haven't already. Let Marta know your availability. Again, we're going to try it out for a couple times. If it works great, we'll continue it. If it doesn't, we'll stop. So it's not a long-term commitment. You're asked for like 2 1-hour meetings or something like that over September. So please consider that. Oh, I have another one I wanted to talk about, but I don't want to monopolize the floor. If there's anything else anyone would like to talk about, this is a great time. All right, so I had one other idea. I don't have a name for this one, but this was in, I think this went to general. Yeah, this is in general. I was thinking about doing a virtual summit, I don't know, a workshop, whatever, for OSS maintainers. So sorry, maintainers of critical open source projects. So we go after the top 200 or 300 projects, or however many we need in order to get a center of massive accepts. But we essentially say, you know, hello people, you collectively, you know, author and maintain, you know, a really sizable part of the open source projects that we all depend on. Let's get together and chat about your challenges, like what do you really find, and make it a very kind of I don't say hand holding, but like we really want to engage them and understand them, listen to them, talk about, you know, what their challenges are and where OpenSSF, you know, could help, or even if it's things that we can't help with, but you know, it would still be helpful to listen. Kind of do that and make that maybe a quarterly thing. But first we'll just try it once. And yeah, that was kind of a good way, I think, of hearing from the targeted community as opposed to just the whoever shows up, which I think we have other vehicles for that, but I think having something just targeting the maintainers of critical projects would be.
I think it's a great idea, Michael, but I think the execution challenges and the participation, I think that would be the challenge. Like, are you thinking of a hybrid type event or?
Oh, I'm thinking just virtual.
Virtual only. Okay, so yeah, I think
At least for the first one. I mean, in theory, we could commingle it with an event, but you know, the ecosystems are so different. Like, if we can't do it at like a JavaScripty kind of event, because then the Python folks wouldn't be there and vice versa. So maybe just
yeah, that's a good. But I think at the same time, it's also good to give them an opportunity to talk and you know, to let us know their challenges and problems, right? Like, I think that would be a great idea. I mean, great way to understand their challenges, right? Like that even. I'm not sure what exactly we are planning to include the content for that event. Is it just to highlight the open SSF projects and the services they can get benefit, or you know, it's more like a learning session for them? What exactly you're trying to get out of that event?
Dan, you have your hand up. No, respond.
Hi.
And I'm sorry, someone's typing super loud. If you just stop typing, could you mute yourself?
That would be me. Sorry.
No worries.
I like mechanical typewriters. Go on.
Ding. The just to note, I think somebody from my company signed up for one of the slots. The feedback was that could we have some slots that are slightly more Europe friendly? Yeah, because this particular person is based in Israel, and it's even more difficult for them. So, so if even if we could just make it a few hours earlier,
yeah,
that would be better.
I will provide that
for next go. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, I mean, if you want to give that feedback direct, the office hours Slack channel is where that discussion, but I'll make sure that that's represented as well.
Okay.
If I may observe, just in general, for trying to deal with, you know, there's always time zones that are unfriendly for somebody. I noticed that some working groups have had like alternating meeting times and that sort of thing. I mean, we just can't make a time zone that's always perfect for everybody, but we can do things to spread the pain a little bit, make it a lot, because we do want folks to be involved no matter where they are.
My life, this is my life. Yes.
Yeah, but we would like your life to be a little less painful.
You're talking on mute, Michael.
Amir,
I can't hear you.
Oh, yes. Sorry, let me do that first. Okay. Yeah, I like the idea. One thing that immediately came to mind was I remember reading in the Census 2 report something. I was just looking through it to see if I could find it, but they had a really good statistic in there. I think it was something like 80 or 90 or 80% of projects are, I think it was like there was like 100 maintainers for like 80% of the infrastructure, something like that. It was a very good statistic showing that, you know, there's these people exist, there's not that many of them. So I wonder if Census 2 would be able to give some insight as to like maybe who those maintainers are, or if they already have the data on who those maintainers are. That could make this a lot easier, potentially. So just a thought. David might have more insight on that, but I just remember reading it somewhere in the report. It said, it basically said that exact thing you just said. It's like a very large number of projects are run by something like 150 maintainers. And I mean, if there's any insight as to who they are, to find out, you know, that number, then that would be super helpful, I think.
One more.
Hey, so just had one feedback about this. It may not help the project, but I mean, there's been people in the academia who has been working on like doing empirical studies on these open source maintainers. I happen to know a few of them. It might be useful to actually involve them as well, because they actually can bring in some insight that that has been done like collectively and so on. So I will make sure that I will connect a few people in this thing.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Perfect. So back to the Vinod, your question on like, is this a learning session? Is this a listening session? Is this a talk about all the wonderful things they can do by using the stuff that OpenSSF produces? I think initially it's a listening session. There's no agenda. We're not pushing anything, but we want to talk about like the challenges that you have. And then as follow-up to that, we can say, listen, you know, we heard all of you complaining about the lack of X. We thought about that. We've got some things, here are some things that other groups have done. You know, what would the next step be here? Like, you know, would you like an office-y hours kind of assistance? Is this enough? Is this like what is it? But kind of go in there less about like, hey, we're putting on a little conference and, you know, the only people that are invited are these kind of, you know, these maintainers, but more of a, hey, you're really important to this. Is there anything we can do to help? Like, tell me about your challenges and, you know, let us just kind of learn and, because we may learn things that frankly surprise us about what they're actually feeling. I know some of the conversations with I'm drawing a blank on the person's name, but this person is a pretty prolific author in the JavaScript ecosystem, and some of the challenges that he was describing to me were not ones that would have been near the top of my list. So maybe first we have to learn what we don't know. Vinod?
Yeah, again, great idea always from you, Michael. So I think that's a good strategy, but my humble opinion is to, when we approach these kind of maintainers, I think we may need to partner with package ecosystems, and not to scare people. Randomly someone contacted from OpenSSF saying that you know, you are a maintain, you know, a critical project maintainer, you're invited to join this and stuff like that, right? Like that may sometimes have negative impact than positive impact. So I think we should definitely figure it out how we can communicate in a better way, or you know, we do have all the package management teams joining other working group, right? Maybe we can partner with them, or ask them to contact for us or something like that, like so that people won't get panicked. Even people who are getting panic when they go to PyPy email, and right, like there are still other issues.
Yeah. And we also, I think we probably also need to be careful not to make it seem like, because statistically, if we announce anything publicly about this, who's ever reading it will not be among the group that will be invited to this. So it kind of makes everybody feel a little bit sad. So we should be careful in like, this, it doesn't have to be done. It's not a secret, but it's not something that like will ever get to the folks that we want there by blogging about it or things like that. So we have to do one-on-one kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That was exactly my point. I was going to ask, like, do we have the channels of communications to make this invitation as approachable and as inviting as possible? And if not, do we have the information about who to contact? Because sometimes who is published in a certain repository may be not the person that is the one doing the most public relationships or meetings kind of person. And I know several project leads that do have like person dedicated for that, and sometimes it's not in the readme of the repo.
Yep. I think, and I didn't mention this, but I think the other advantage of doing this, and I don't know how this would work online as a virtual thing. This really, it might need to be done in person, but I would love to have like, I mean, imagine a room or conference center or something, and it's like, okay, all the NPM folks over here, and all of the, and kind of learn from your peer group whom you statistically probably don't know about, but you're all, are probably facing similar challenges. So have it be, even more workshopy rather than OpenSSF kind of give and take to the collective maintainers. We could experiment with different models and just see what works and what they want. So, the other nice thing is if it's virtual, it's effectively free. It's just time that folks are willing to put in to kind of organize it and reach out and things like that. But we can get them swag and things like that. But it's basically free. Vinod?
Yeah, I just want to, you already covered the swag thing, right? But I was thinking maybe we should approach first with the swag or nice things for them to thank them, like for maintaining those projects, like then trying to, it's a nice way of asking them to just, it's their valuable time. So, let's try to influence them that they will join, and maybe proactively sending a thank you letter or I don't know, some gift card or something like that, maybe cloud credits, whatever it is. Whoever want to sponsor the things, like send out them and ask them to, even if they won't join, they can get it for their contribution to the critical projects, right? I mean, yeah.
Something like pencils, like thank you for the past 10 years of your life. Yeah, no, that's awesome. Cool. Okay, so now here's where the rubber hits the road. Is there anybody that would like to drive this effort? No one putting anybody on the spot.
Effort and title, like what are we thinking before somebody says yeah?
Well, so right now the way that this works or worked is, post a message to Slack. You're like, hey, I got an idea on a thing. Some people are like, yeah, it's a good idea. That's it. So to make it happen, someone needs to drive it and like figure out what the next steps are and engage, I guess, LF to make this kind of official and come up with like a plan and who we're going to reach out to and how do you like all that stuff. And you can have lots of help from other people to get that stuff done. But I've learned that I'm only a bottleneck so my strategy is let's there's more than enough opportunities here for everyone to lead a thing. So what I'm asking for, like, lead a thing, make it happen.
Okay, so I could volunteer, but I need like the management, like one-on-one, like you should go this and that. I can make things happen most of the time.
Okay. Is there anybody else that would like to partner particularly on that management-y side, or just a co-lead or whatever, like whatever you want to call it?
Yeah. So I have organized academic workshops before. I mean, if that considered, but I mean, we do need to probably coordinate with somebody inside OpenSSF who is going to actually do the logistics stuff, as in like actually send
The
email?
logistics part is easy. Yep. So that will be probably Kahil now. But either way, that's covered. That one's easy. I can make sure that all happens.
Okay. So yeah, I spoke up. So yeah, count me in. Thanks.
Okay, perfect, Munar. Munawar?
Yes, thanks.
Okay, perfect.
I'll leave it to you two to connect.
Yeah, if you need one more, I'd like to help if there's anything I can help.
Thank you, Alex. I will create then in the Slack channel something. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Feel free to just create another Slack channel for this, and that way it kind of lives on its own.
Thank you.
Love it. Okay. Next one up, assimilation. So this was I talked about this last time. This was the SIM for the open source ecosystem to listen to events, particularly like malware and other kind of bad things that can happen. And then to have an incident response team that triages the results if needed, and gets notices back out to the ecosystems to get these packages taken down. So this work today is being, some of it's being done by some of the vendors. I'm not aware of any open sourcey like organizations that do this without a kind of commercial company like under them. So we talked about this 2 weeks ago. I said I would follow up with the incident response work stream. I had that conversation yesterday. It was a good conversation, but they were not ready to take on this. So I'll follow back up with them in a couple of months to see if anything changes. But it is that avenue is probably not going to go anywhere. So I have two choices. Well, actually, I have like 4 choices. We could go to the securing software repos working group. So because this has NPM and PyPy and all of those there anyway, they stand the most to gain by getting the pollution out of the ecosystem, at least in theory. Maybe they would be interested in this, so I can approach them and have that conversation. I can approach TAC and have it be stood up as a standalone. It might have to be a SIF because we're asking for money. Maybe. Well, actually, no, it definitely does not need to be a SIF because we're asking for money. It may make sense to do it as a SIF because it's independent of a working group. Or, and this is the thought I had yesterday, was the name of this working group is identifying security threats. This is definitely identifying security threats. So it fits pretty well where it is, and we can just manage the project ourselves. We would need to probably ask for money in order to fund someone to be kind of going through the results and contacting the ecosystems and updating the rules and all that stuff. But I think that would be relatively low risk stuff. We could contract that out, I think, pretty easily. Or the last part is we could say, you know what, it's a good idea, but other ideas are better. So I want to open up the floor to see what you all thought we should do about this. Vinod.
Yeah, so are you only planning to include malware, or is it beyond malware, or what exactly?
It is, let's say, malware in a loose definition. Malware, backdoors, anything malicious, even if it's not like, and when I say malware, I mean like all the dependency confusion attacks that we had last year, those count. If you are installing a package and you're exfiltrating data, yeah. If you're a package that says it does, it's left pad, but it really is a crypto miner, that's, yes, that too. Those types of things. It does not cover, we just found a vulnerability, let's leave that to Omega.
Got it. I think there are so many commercial vendors in this space who is doing, this kind of analysis. from a SCA perspective, or even just focusing on this domain, there are some new vendors. There are also some free kind of sources where you can kind of get similar kind of information. But I think one of the big challenges is that there is not a standard way of communicating this information, and standard schema like vulnerability may have. So I think maybe we need to start with a standard schema first, then trying to, similar to OSV approach for vulnerability, similar to that for a malicious packages, right? Rather than just focusing on vulnerabilities. So maybe I was thinking maybe start with a standard schema and see if these vendors will adopt it, or can start whatever, centralized, similar to OSV.dev or something like that, and encourage others to do the same.
Okay. Do you see that as a predecessor to this, or are those kind of orthogonal? Like the reporting mechanisms we have today kind of work too. They're not, fully automated.
Yeah, one of the big challenge will be when we directly jump into this, it is going to be a big competition with the commercial providers out there, and they won't be that happy. So maybe first start.
We're gonna get faster then. This is.
No, I mean, I think from an end perspective, like there won't be any silver bullet source for any of these, right? Like you need to use multiple vendors or multiple open intelligence. But the challenge with the end user is that they can't have each and everybody use their own language or schemas and things like that, which is going to make it difficult for end user. So in my opinion, I think, sorry.
End user isn't the
organizations which is
involved here. Yeah, this would be a closed loop between and this occurs with Sonnet, so Sonatype or JFrog or somebody does analysis, finds a thing, contacts PyPy or NPM or RubyGems or whoever, the thing gets evaporated and the world is better off. No end user really needed to know anything about that. They just.
So you're thinking end user as the package central repositories, like I don't know if the commercial companies will be interested in that, because that is kind of digging their own grave, so they won't get.
Well, and that's what I'm thinking, right? So at the same time, though, there's a lot of things still get published out there, so it is definitely not a solved problem. But I want to make sure that Jay and Roderick have a chance to talk to.
I think I owe you a response to your last email. I'm not even sure if either Sarah or I responded to you, so I owe you a response to that. But the tactical nature of a simulation aside, I think we need to take a step back and put more thought into the strategic nature of it, because I'm not terribly sure. Should it probably live here? Sure, but I think it's a lot larger than just one. I think it's a lot larger than just a project in this working group. I think this might be something that has meat on it that could be looked at across this working group, the secure software repos working group. I think there might be a bit of meat on it to chew on for a few of us. So I think we take a look at it and then see about maybe see how we pitch and how we bring it in. Like I said, that's stuff that we could talk about offline though.
Yeah.
But that's my general thought anyway. So that all that being said, I owe you a response and then us to talk about all the particulars from there.
So how about this? The next step that I'll take here is talking to the securing software repos groups. I think we should anyway, regardless of what we do. And we'll take this in baby steps and so we'll go. Roderick?
Yeah, well, I think I was just going to say, if we are going to move forward with trying to do our own thing, I would like to engage on that, and whatever. So however this moves forward, that's something I would like to participate in. One. Two, I did have the question of if the incident response working group isn't ready to take this on, exactly how would we be? So there was a question there.
The deck that I had from last week, the link should be in last week's meeting notes. Yeah. Had outlined two scenarios at a high level. And one is basically, this is volunteers or voluntold from OpenSSF members that get another hat, and the hat is, kind of going through the output, but with a cone of silence on that they can't tell their employer because these are 0 days, things like that. And the other scenario is just hire contractors to do this, and that way we have an agreement that this is what we do, but like it's not spread throughout OpenSSF members that have sometimes could have a conflict of interest.
I remember that. I guess I don't understand why they are not ready to take something on, and so I assume that there's some questions there that maybe we should also be considering. Is my point. Yeah, no.
So it wasn't it was we agree in principle that this would be a good thing, that we being the incident response work stream is focused on other things right now, essentially getting off the ground and figuring out like what are the biggest challenges around that and how they're going to like go address that. So they have preliminary work to do, which is going to take some number of months, and then as that wraps up, like I hope they kind of change their mind on this, but I don't know that. Like I'm not sure that like they don't have to align. It doesn't have to be in that group. It look nicer if it was, but it's fine. Either way, I'm more concerned with getting something and learning and getting better at it and making this something that the techniques that we use, feeding those back to the package management ecosystems themselves, so that PyPy gets better at spotting these things as packages are being published, and NPM2, et cetera, so that ultimately the well dries up would be the best scenario here. Cool. Any other? A couple hands still raised, but any other comments?
Can you hear me?
Yep. Have it on.
I think the point with the PyPy or NPM, they have some security, I would say, design flaws with their package management. So that, why they are, why they have these kind of challenges compared to some of other package management systems. Don't you think it's better to push them to resolve that rather than trying to, I feel like this is going to be a major challenge. I don't really know the practicality of implementation of this, right? But I know that NPM and they have some new proposal to improve, the pre-install script problems, and similar with the PyPy. But in my opinion, we should try to push them to improve those areas to reach up to some maturity level in terms of security of a package manager. Yeah, there were similar effort in OWASP project to I don't recollect the project name. So which is kind of comparing different package ecosystems and security features they offer. If they offer 2FA, if they do pre-install type of thing, if they it's just putting out there and making it public itself, kind of maybe opening up the eyes of the package management teams and trying to reach the same maturity, right? Or it's not maturity, the security controls.
Yep, that makes sense. And I think that is kind of the at least spiritual purpose of the Securing Software Repos group, is to have them learn from each other and get better and implement features that protect the ecosystem, as a whole. And I think those discussions are absolutely worthy, and we're funding some of that through Alpha, and we need to do more, and more focus there is great. And I'm just not seeing the and obviously I'm biased here, so take everything with a grain of salt that Mike is biased, but I'm not seeing that as, I'm seeing those as two separate paths that we can go down both simultaneously toward a better end. One is, strategic, make the problem, I don't know, plant a garden that, it gets much better in the future. And the other one is well, the shed's on fire right now, so let's get some water and try to put out the fire. So I don't know. Let's continue this discussion. We are slightly over time. I thank everybody for their feedback and comments and engagement and everything, and all that. So really appreciate it. I hope everyone has a great rest of your Wednesday. Thanks,
Thank you,
everybody.
Michael. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.